Mrs. Kim Frederick, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Economic Development, Planning and Trade. Mr. Ambrose Phillip, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Grenada Co-operative Bank Limited, and Mrs. Phillip. Members of the Board of Directors of Grenada Co-operative Bank, Mrs. Duncan, Mr. Trevor E. Blake, Managing Director of the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, members of the executive team of Co-op Bank, shareholders, investors, young professionals, business leaders. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Transforming the financial landscape in Grenada and the Eastern Caribbean requires, inter alia, market participants, service providers, and regulators to act in concert in pursuit of a shared vision. We are at an historical juncture where the world, the region, and Grenada are slowly recovering from the debilitating impacts of the global economic and financial crisis that began in 2008. The launch of Co-op Bank's brokerage and investment services at this point in time, therefore, affirms our determination to play a leading role in the transformation of the ECCU financial marketplace as broker-dealers and investment advisors. We are greatly appreciative of the presence of Mr. Blake, Managing Director of the ECSE, business leaders, managers, young professionals, and of course, directors, senior managers of the bank, and the press. We welcome each one of you and trust that this afternoon's luncheon launch will be both enjoyable and enlightening. He joined the bank in 2008. He is a fellow of the Associate of Accountants, UK branch, and also a leading executive member of the Eastern Caribbean Institute of Chartered Accountants. I speak no less of our executive manager, Mr. Aaron Logie, who is a licensed agent and principal of our brokerage unit, to make a presentation on the bank's team that is involved in this service and also the services that we'll be offering. Mr. Logie.
Ladies and gentlemen, Co-op Bank introduces its brokerage and investment services. Are you meeting your financial goals? And if not, who can you turn to? Co-op Bank, a licensed broker-dealer offering investment opportunities to maximize your growth potential. Let me introduce you to our team. Our team is headed by Mr. Richard Duncan, our Managing Director, two investment and brokerage managers, Alana Joseph, yours truly, Aaron Logie. We are also supported by two senior brokerage and investment officers, Kishal Francis and Carla Sylvester. Making the market work for you, that's our goal. As a full-service broker-dealer, we provide investment solutions and advisory services for individuals, governments, companies, and state-owned enterprises. To achieve that, we first clarify your investment objectives and also determine your risk appetite. Once this is done, we offer recommendations on investment products suitable for you. Are you looking for alternatives to low-interest bank deposits? We can assist you to build a portfolio of securities traded on the East Caribbean Security Exchange, and that's mainly treasury bills, and equity? Or are you looking for capital financing for that major investment project? We can also assist you with structuring and arranging by way of a new share issue or a corporate bond. And both can be either by private placement or a public auction. We can also assist governments by way of underwriting and arranging treasury bills and bonds on the regional government securities market. We also offer a range of administrative services for holders of equities traded on the exchange. Such services include transfer and donation of shares. So you might want to transfer shares to a child or a grandchild. We can help you with this. We can also update your information on the East Caribbean Security Exchange. So your bank account, your address, etc. will facilitate that. As well, we can process your still dated dividend checks issued by the exchange. We'll be happy to assist you. You can call or visit our office on Church Street, St. George's. Let us make the market work for you. Thank you.
During the period of establishing this project, we had the opportunity to implement a model that we have perfected at the bank, and that is test, pilot, rollout. Today, we had the launch leading to the rollout. The pilot phase involved asking a number of persons to engage in the activities that we would be doing when we go live, so to speak. And that allowed us to perfect the system that you will be encountering. We'd want to acknowledge some of them who are present with us today with a token of our appreciation. We have with us Ms. Pamela Ed. Is Ms. Ed here? Give her a round of applause. Come. Oh, come, Kishel, come and present. Photo up. Oh, come. We also have with us Mr. Jeffrey Commission. I know some people are not expecting this, but really and truly, when you're embarking on a project of this scale and involvement, you need to make sure that your systems are properly tested and piloted. Thank you, Mr. Commission. Mr. Lawrence Kufhoff, if I have the German properly pronounced, is he here? Karikoff, thank you. Ms. Teresa Millet was also part of the pilot. Is Ms. Millet here? And what the pilot phase does, it allows you to make all your mistakes in the open, but yet in private. So we would have been excused for whatever errors were made as we perfected the system. Thank you. Vivian Radix is also here. We want to show our appreciation to Mrs. Radix. And we have Ms. Teresa Cheryl Sylvester. Really appreciate your support, man. Thank you very much, Kishel. Thank you. He is no stranger to Grenada Co-operative Bank. He's no stranger to Grenada. He's a regional figure. Mr. Trevor E. Blake, Managing Director of the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange for over 10 years, has been responsible for its development, the expansion of its services, and its offerings in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. And many of us inside here would have seen the great works of the exchange. It is my great pleasure to ask Mr. Blake to deliver his congratulatory remarks to the bank. Mr. Blake.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Please allow me to adopt the protocol that is being so ably established by Mr. Duncan. A few short months ago in July, I had the pleasure of participating in a ceremony here in the Grand Anse area to mark the listing of Grenada Co-operative Bank on the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange. I'm equally delighted to be here today to participate in and to offer congratulatory remarks at this ceremony to launch the securities brokerage operations. At the listing in July, I mentioned the remarkable transformation made by GCBL from a penny bank to a modern financial institution. The launch of the brokerage and investment services today is another example of the bank's thrust to broaden the range of financial services that it offers to the Grenadian public, and we hope to the peoples of the entire Eastern Caribbean region and even beyond. Co-op Bank, upon obtaining ECSE membership after getting its license from the Eastern Caribbean Securities Regulatory Commission, became the 6th member of the ECSE's intermediary network, offering broker-dealer services within the securities market in the currency union. For the first time since 2010, when FinCor folded its operations, securities brokerage services are now readily available in Grenada. And this, we think it's important because after St. Kitts Nevis, Grenada has the highest number of listed companies on the ECSE. We at the ECSE therefore consider it vital that brokerage services were reintroduced in a meaningful way to Grenada, as access to the markets are provided by these intermediaries. And I say meaningful because some may argue that other securities brokerage firms from outside of Grenada had been offering services here in the interim. However, while that might have sufficed for the large institutional investors and maybe some of the better financially endowed individuals, it was clearly insufficient for the needs of the general public. Those smaller shareholders of the 4 listed companies and the ordinary men and women who sought to invest in these listed companies or to purchase shares from other companies across the currency union, or to invest in the treasury issues, the bonds by governments of the region on the government securities market, or bonds by the corporates issued, such as the ECHMB. It was important that we had meaningful brokerage services readily available to them here in Grenada. With the launch of the GCBL's brokerage and investment services, every single Grenadian now has the opportunity to participate in and share in the benefits of the securities market. The broker-dealer is one of the most important institutions in any securities market. It plays a critical role in intermediating between buyers and sellers of securities. Within the Eastern Caribbean securities market, they have exclusive access to the ECSE's trading system, so no other entity other than a full-service broker like Grenada Co-operative Bank is, or a limited service broker, is able to buy or sell securities on behalf of investors in the primary or secondary markets of the ECSE. The role, as the name suggests, is dual. As broker, it acts as an agent on behalf of its client investors and issuers, and as a dealer, it buys and sells securities on its own behalf. In this dual role, a broker-dealer therefore fulfills the pivotal function of providing access to the markets by investors and issuers alike, facilitating the flow of securities in the market and ensuring there's a ready market for securities for their clients. In addition to the mere buying and selling of securities, broker-dealers are also authorized to offer investment banking services such as the underwriting and pricing of securities issues, preparing prospectuses, marketing of issues, portfolio management services, and holding securities in nominee accounts or other custodial services on behalf of clients. Critically, they also provide investment advice. It is obvious from the range and nature of these services that securities brokerage business is a serious and specialized business. It is also highly regulated. To offer brokerage services, Grenada Co-operative Bank had to be licensed by the Commission and to be certified by the ECSE. And to obtain these, GCBL had to meet very stringent requirements to ensure that it had both the financial and technical capacity to undertake these services, all in an effort to protect the investment public. Its associated persons, the principals and registered representatives, and Mr. Logie identified them for you a bit earlier. They had to undergo quite rigorous training to develop the competencies required of securities markets professionals before they could be licensed and be granted the permission to act on behalf of investors. To maintain the license and the membership status with the ECSE, Grenada Co-operative Bank must continue to meet ongoing requirements, and the principals and representatives must continue to pursue professional development. We must applaud Grenada Co-operative Bank for embarking on this venture and making the substantial investment necessary to develop the brokerage and investment service. This comes at an interesting time in the development of the markets in the Eastern Caribbean. We at the ECSE have just completed a major IT project that involved the complete revamp and modernization of our IT infrastructure. We have completely replaced our legacy systems on which we operated from inception in 2001 to a modern state-of-the-art trading system and CSD platform that handles all of our post-trade operations. We have invested heavily in new technology to put the ECSE back at the cutting edge of modern securities business capability. The new infrastructure has facilitated greater efficiencies and will also enable the more adept broker-dealers to offer more value-added services to their clientele. For example, broker-dealers would be able to structure index-linked products for offering to the investing public directly from our trading system. The new CSD has also enabled us to change the way securities holders' business are conducted. The new approach now places the broker-dealer more centrally between the investor and the ECSE and facilitates closer broker-investor relationships. Over time, all of the securities holders will be assigned to a broker-dealer, and account maintenance services, which previously had to be done directly with the registry back in St. Kitts, will now be facilitated here in Grenada by the broker-dealer. And the devolution of these activities creates significant business potential for the broker-dealer, such as GCBL. As GCBL embarks on this new service, I want to challenge the bank to go beyond the basic intermediary function. I want to see GCBL, as competencies are developed over time, offering higher order services, such as market making, underwriting, developing collective investment products, such as mutual funds, index-linked funds, preparing and publishing research reports and analyses of listed companies for the benefit of the listing public. These complement and advance the development of the securities market in the region. I do not expect to see these immediately, but I encourage GCBL, its brokerage staff, to see the current range of services, which Mr. Logie just pointed out, as merely introductory, but to aspire and strive towards higher order value-added services for the benefit of the continuing development of the market and this will redound ultimately to the benefit of the investing public in Grenada and beyond, and to the shareholders of Co-op Bank, as the additional fee income generated would positively impact the bank's financial performance. In closing, and I know you must be waiting for lunch, I want to, on behalf of the Board of Directors, management and staff of the ECSE, warmly congratulate GCBL on the official launch of this service today. It is indeed another remarkable achievement for the bank. I want to congratulate Mr. Duncan and his team, Mr. Logie, and the other investment officers on the official launch, and wish them every success in this venture, and commit the continued support of the ECSE in any way we could. Thank you.
At this stage, we want to move to the highlight of today's proceedings, and that is the keynote address by the chairman of the bank. While he may need no introduction generally, in the context of this event, Director Ambrose Phillip has been a director of the bank since 2011, and Chairman Ambrose Phillip has been chairman of the bank as of February this year. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the chairman of Grenada Co-operative Bank Limited, Mr. Ambrose Phillip, to deliver the keynote address at this launch of our brokerage and investment services. Please help me to welcome him.
Let me say good afternoon. I think it is afternoon now. Good afternoon to all. In the beginning, when we had the little problem with the soup, I was kind of glad because I say, I will catch them before they get arthritis. Now I'm beginning to wonder about that. Mr. Kim Frederick, representative of the Ministry of Finance. Dr. the Reverend James, fellow directors, Mr. Trevor Blake of the regulator, captains of business, and I hope all of you are clients of the bank, other members of the private sector, members of the media corps, and staff of the bank. Co-op Bank has long committed to be the leading Grenadian provider of high-quality financial and related services. In fact, this position has been expressed in our mission statement since 2003. The relevance of Co-op Bank to our society and the economy is patently clear and undisputed, especially as we now hold the largest market share of assets in the banking sector, as well as the largest deposit base among the 5 commercial banks on the island. We now have $888.9 million in deposits, or 30% market share, as is borne out by the ECCB statistics and the financial statements, one of which came out only last week, of the various commercial banks. You will see ours within 2 weeks. Additionally, our leadership in customer convenience is undoubted, with the largest ATM network on the island. And we have the second largest footprint in terms of branches and a cutting-edge, easy-to-use e-banking platform. But equally significant, and significantly so, crucially so, is the bank's importance to the psyche of the Grenadian people. The bank is indeed an icon of Grenadian fortitude and determination, a source of pride. In fact, on the island, no commercial enterprise has consistently owned entirely by Grenadians has survived as long as we have, 85 years. And with the exception of Spice Island Beach Resort, none has outcompeted international and regional rivals as we have done, and I hope we will continue to do. Today holds special significance in the development of the financial space in Grenada in particular, and in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union in general. Significant, no doubt it is, for several reasons, but it will take only 4 reasons to confirm that this is so. 1, Grenada, through our new service offerings, will draw more persons at home and abroad into the investor class, especially the ordinary man and woman at home and abroad. And this reminds me of the origins of Co-op Bank in the 1930s, when we had a mechanic driving around the country to get seamstresses, to get farmers, to get tradesmen to buy shares at the bank, including those 2 schoolboys from St. Mark's that the deputy chairman referred to at the launch of the service a couple months back. Secondly, Grenadians investors will have easier, more convenient and affordable access to the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange, and in time, hopefully, other stock exchanges in CARICOM. Thirdly, rendering strategic, financial, counseling, and structuring loans and bond syndicates or raising equity will make hitherto challenging prospects much more feasible and realizable. And fourthly, our bank now brings added competition to the brokerage market, raising the bar for service quality while placing downward pressure on the cost of services. Management and the board have worked diligently to get to this point, and I commend them for their support, guidance, and cooperation. As the representative, Trevor Blake, from the exchange pointed out before, to obtain a license is a rigorous exercise. And we have had, at the appropriate level, the quality, the financial capital, the technology, the governance structure, the risk management practices, internal controls, and the human capital. The latter required our staff to undergo a rigorous program of studies and examination. We are very, very proud of our team, led by Mr. Logie, in that regard. Given the benefits to investors and potential investors of these new services, we are indeed extremely confident that Co-op Bank will play an even more pivotal role in the socio-economic transformation of Grenada, and that it will eclipse that which we have managed to achieve in the last 85 years. We now look forward with eager anticipation on the demands for our service from private sector enterprises, from individuals, from central government, and from state-owned enterprises. I thank you very much.
It is left for me to say that I trust that you were in fact enlightened and that you enjoyed the proceedings. I wish you a safe journey to your homes and offices. Thank you very much.